Hey everyone, this is how I wrote and recorded my song Houdini. So Houdini started in upstate New York. I was in this writer's Airbnb. I think it was a couple of writers, and they had this really amazing bookshelf that I nicked a lot of titles from. But there was like this frame in front on the desk of like this sort of upside down red headless figure, and it really just reminded me of Houdini. I think he was in the ether. I'd bumped into like a rare book in LA by him, and I was fascinated with him and his name. So I started writing, and the first verse captures this argument my parents had when I was very, very small, and it's like, it's 2:45, and it's clear to me that you're leaving. Usually we don't come to blows till the evening. So I sort of changed the perspective. Sorry about my chain guitar. I sort of changed the perspective of being my parents to me being very much involved. And then it just sort of tracked this metaphor that the men that kept leaving out of my life, which has been, quite a few, were like Houdinis. And I just carried that chorus. And I remember writing that chorus and feeling just really like I'd written something profound for me personally. The thing I came unstuck with was actually the middle eight, or the bridge as Americans call it. We have different names for that bit, I think. And I remember rewriting that with my partner, and it's the most pointed. I always feel if you're writing a song, if you can get it to be very pointed, so when you're singing it on stage, it's like you're really singing it to the person that you dislike or have an issue with or even love. It's just, you can look at the back of the room and you can be like, make my day and trade your place with anyone who's not walking away. Like when I sing that, it's so poignant and makes my performance better. And with that, we went on an F chord, like that kind of building the tension. So I'll show you how we mimicked building the tension in the middle eight with the production. So for me personally, I think the most interesting part of this track is what we did with the keys. The keys player always ends up coming in, and I'm like, can you play 2 notes? Can you play 3 notes? For some reason, keys are not in fashion in my album. So let me take you through that. Where are we? Keys. There we go. So we'd run the piano reverb, I think, through like a sort of fuzz pedal or some sort of pedal. We were messing around plugging things in. So it gives I'll turn it up. It gives it this sort of really intense, gritty air, quite haunting as well, which is how I wanted the song to be. You can kind of hear. We added a boys' choir on the mellotron. So this is just the lower part of a mellotron, which, if you didn't know, they basically in the 60s recorded. 2 seconds. In the 60s, they recorded samples of every single note, be it violins, be it flutes, be it whatever, and they recorded it for a certain amount of time. So when you play a mellotron, it can run out when you're sort of the literal sample in the keyboard runs out, which is really interesting fun fact in case you're a nerd like me. So yeah, this is, as you can hear, gives it this like grand, like quite a haunting vibe that I wanted for this song. So you kind of got that buzz as well as like this epic, boys' choir. I really like that there's like this heavy bass in the kick drum, and just the drums on this track I love so much. It's not too busy, there's not too many fills. He's just sort of laying into it like a trucker. That as well I love, because he's just literally mimicking what I do on the electric, which is a lot of key parts in my songs. Me and the drums, I sometimes strum a pattern that the drums should be playing. So when a drummer copies me, it just makes for a really good track of mine, I think, or rhythm track. Okay, what else? Alrighty, so I think the interesting part about this track is my vocal is very, very lazy, which is quite, you know, fashionable. I think of bedroom pop and stuff, but I personally have never explored that in my vocal. Usually I'm like, you know, really singing with my diaphragm, like really projecting, really getting it out, like I said, talking about that emotion. And this one I wasn't. We recorded it in a basement studio of Dave's. I was just going to try out a few songs, see if it was a good fit. So this is a very different sound to most on the record. And yeah, I just sort of sung it in this really personal way that became, I think, one of my favorite vocals I've ever heard from myself, if that makes sense. One of my favorite vocals of myself. All right. We always record the acoustic and the lead generally as a rule of thumb, with emotional songs especially. Yes, so I'll go back. Are you looking at me? We added some BPs, not too many. I think it's just a double on the BB. A very inaccurate double, which I actually preferred. Are you looking at me like you can't quite believe your place with anyone? So you can hear like the discrepancy between the two vocals. Again, I blame each escapade on my mistakes for not letting all this end. So as a rule of thumb, as an artist, you try and make your double almost exactly right. But I loved about this record, it's not exactly right. And I'm also, like I said, I'm not singing. It's like sitting down here and singing to you like, make my day and trade your place. There's nothing, you know, very formal about this record. So definitely a lot of emotion, very, very personal, if not the most personal on the record for me. That is how I recorded and wrote Houdini.